friends. This is the Botero Coffee Company webinar number 3. This is going to be a deep dive into our roasted coffee distribution, subscription, and US business model. So introducing the team again, but Mauricio Botero is the co-founder along with myself, Tucker Kimbrough, Marine Corps captain, been a real estate developer for a little while now. And then JT is head of sales, customer relations, and then he is the head of our United States distribution plan. Diane Pontevis, who couldn't make it today because he is actively conducting coffee meet and greets / sales in Colombia, is our quality control specialist, head of the milling team, and manages all Colombian operations. And then we got Eric Collins, who's the Colombian logistics director, chief operations officer, and sourcage, and packages all of our coffee offerings. Over to JT to sort of walk through the business model.
This is a high-level graphic to show the relationship between our U.S. and our Colombian entities. So center left and center right, we've got Botero Colombia and Botero USA. So starting in the bottom left corner, we've got coffee producers who bring their coffee to Botero Colombia. That is our mill. That's also the background of this slide. They bring it for milling services and to improve the quality of their product and get it ready for export. In the top left corner, that is our Colombian distribution. So that is selling coffee to businesses and store shelves within Colombia. Moving over to the right side, we've got Botero USA. So we manage the consumers, direct-to-consumer distribution, the wholesaler distribution, and then cafe and restaurant distribution of both green and roasted coffee.
So overall, our business is a multinational business. We're both doing business in the United States and in Colombia. And the primary sources of income inside of Colombia is, first and foremost, we're dry milling for the local community. We're also dry milling for our own purchasing of green coffee from producers. And as we're doing that, we're talking to different coffee farmers and producers. We're buying from them their green coffee for our own use in the United States, but also we're happy to sell it to any other exporter and importer as well who would like to buy some of the coffee that we're finding. In addition, we're producing some byproducts through the process of dry milling coffee, and those byproducts can be sold or transformed into other things. That is an ancillary part of our income stream. It's not the primary one by any means. In addition, this Colombian company is managing the operations for the American Coffee Club Fund, right? So as our investors come into this business and invest in it, they're ensured that there's a Colombian company already in operations, managing and operating this business today, and they just be brought into the fold and continue operations. And then last but not least, inside of Colombia, again, like JT said, we are selling Botero branded roasted coffee inside of Colombia. We're just starting that revenue stream, and it seems to be very promising that inside of Colombia, we can make a splash there in selling it to cafes and also restaurants and other hotels and hospitality places. In the United States, you would see kind of these main 4 categories here of how we sell our coffee. And today's special focus about what JT is going to nerd out with the numbers here is how we sell our roasted coffee. So although we do sell some green coffee to roasters, and although we do have a part of our business plan to sell a ton of green coffee later on down the line to bigger deals, to bigger roasters, to companies that want to buy by the container even, our primary method of selling coffee right now from day 0 and on, when we bring in, especially when we bring in new investor money, is by focusing on our roasted coffee sales. And that primarily starts with e-commerce, direct to consumers. We have our BoteroCoffee.com website that we've been already using to sell coffee with. We're going to expand that, dramatically improve that with the help of our special guests here, who we brought on as our experts in improving that line of the business. But in addition, we're going to sell our roasted coffee to cafes, to distributors here in the United States, and even in other countries. For example, we had a call from a new distributor that we're bringing on board in a different country this morning about what that looks like even in other countries, not just the United States. And then last but not least is those companies that don't have their own or don't want to be in the business of roasting their own coffee. They like our roasted coffee, but they want their brand in front of that bag. We have the numbers and the methodology in order to sell their coffee, with us being the behind the scenes, the beans in the bag, with our bags, with our work and our fulfillment. But they're the ones on their store shelves with their face and their name to it, selling it with their pricing and their margins, but buying it from us and fulfilled by us. So I'll turn it back over to JT to do a quick introduction about who we're bringing on board here to help execute that part of the business plan.
So our roasted coffee formal launch, which is coming up, will be done with the help of our digital marketing partner, Practical Effects. They are the experts in storytelling marketing, e-commerce, ad spend and campaign strategy, and website user experience to optimize website and e-commerce sales. So I'll introduce Tyler for Practical Effects, and he'll take it from here.
Yeah, I'm Tyler from Practical Effects. We started this firm in 2023 because we really just hated the advent of AI and how it was ruining content for websites and on social media. So we decided that we believed in true storytelling, authentic storytellers. That's why we hire journalists to write our content for our clients, and just a strong strategy across digital marketing when it comes to ad spend, when it comes to written content, when it comes to social media content, and email marketing. You can go to the next slide. Yeah, so this is some of the stuff that we offer, including web design, that we're going to be tackling with Botero. We have digital advertising, email marketing, written content, social media, and we're able to use all these platforms. So Klaviyo, WordPress. We actually do building a website that I'll show you later on Shopify right now, which is what Botero is built on and what we're going to optimize on. You can go to the next slide. So a little bit what I was saying about the storytelling. It's at the heart of our brand. We do company blogs, the email marketing, web page copy, social media, media campaigns. This is all informed by our market research arm. Our market research arm does surveys and different market research for big brands like Lexus, Sensodyne. These are some of the examples of brands that we've worked with. And that informs kind of how we write our content. We can gather quotes from these studies, but also we can figure out things about how AI, how people don't, consumers, when they see AI on a website, are 39 or 29% less likely to engage with it. And they're actually about 28% more likely to identify AI writing versus authentic writing. And that is at the core of our business. You can go to the next slide. So what we're going to do when it comes to the ad, actually, you can go to the next slide. This one is about the research. Yeah, so branding. What we're going to do is get completely overhaul Botero's social media accounts. So audience development, looking for a brand identity design, whether that is, creating a uniform design across all socials, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Luckily for us, Botero has an incredible video production side of their business, and they have incredible deliverables on their website, and they have a great story. As a storytelling brand, we see great value in working with Botero because we can further tell their story while utilizing their great talents when it comes to video production. We'll also optimize their web user interface with user flows. We'll figure out how we can avoid abandoned carts and just convert, sales at the top of the funnel as much as possible. You can go to the next slide. Yeah, so one of the first things that we're going to do, and this is typical with all brands that have never done paid advertising, is we're going to do the walk, not run approach. So in the beginning, after we build out the website and get those social media started, we're going to start to test different ad strategies, do A/B testing across different audiences, different segments, whether it be based on demographic, location, as well as different messaging and different design approaches. The reason for this is because in that first few months, we want to figure out exactly which approaches work and figure out which approaches we want to use until it's profitable. And we imagine in a month or two that we'll find the correct strategies, correct audiences, and the correct messaging to be able to achieve that and then grow it. Once we find that correct audience and that correct messaging, then we can turn on the tap and start increasing the spend. And then we're able to test into other audiences and other areas to figure out exactly how much we can get out of our ad spend. You can go to the next slide. And here's some case studies. Well, here's some of the people that we've worked with. Some of these are as marketing clients, and some of these are as market research. You can go to the next. Healing Rose is one of our first clients. They're a CPG company. We did a lot of a lot of copywriting for them. We got a glowing review from Laura. We added to their time on site. We've also added to their sales across different platforms. We've also helped with their social media, and their Google Analytics has just been consistently improving. We meet every month. They've been with us for 2 years, and they're a very satisfied customer. They can go to the next slide. This is a digital payments provider that we partnered with. It was a fintech company in the digital payment space. They're looking to acquire new client acquisition and fill holes in their sales funnel. So we did some email campaigns for them. We were able to get their average email cold open by 47% open rate, and then get 15 times time attributed on site. And that was all from blog writing, authentic storytelling, content that is written by a human being that is clearly not AI. And that will obviously increase the site actions and the rate of conversion top of funnel. You can go to the next one. This is for a alcohol e-commerce software as a service platform. We brought them 20 times more inbound sales call, a 4.75 click-through rate on their Google search, and as low as an 80 cents cost per click on the Google search. We redeveloped their brand story, emphasizing the ease of the use of the customer and clearly answering questions of e-com legality in the alcohol marketplace. So that's strong content about blogs. And then also A/B testing of a high attention CTAs tied to the brand story paired with search advertising, improve that sales growth. And that's something that we would be implementing, as I talked about, for Botero. You can go to the next one. And this was also one that we're very proud of, the increased web traffic, the number of daily users. Obviously, this is, a different kind of business than AI software as a service, but being able to get that increase in traffic through these different campaigns, enhancing the client's presence on LinkedIn, Instagram, and using these different campaigns. It's all stuff that we have done for other clients and that we will do for Botero. And here's some examples of some branded posts that we've made for one of our clients, Truffly Made. As you can see, it has a uniform branding, and that was something that we would definitely do with the Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn accounts for Botero. Some more examples. This is Healing Rose, the CPG client that we spoke of. This is what Botero's website currently looks like. I mean, the video is great. And what we've done, the website that we're working on currently, it's actually not complete. It'll be complete around in the next week, or about 2 weeks. Early July is when the delivery is for the client. But if you go to that next slide, you can see what we're doing with this company is we're making the hero shoppable. So this is a video. This is a screenshot. We'll be adding more animation in the bottom left corner about Truffly Made, but it's taking this step to make the homepage more shoppable. There's more calls to action so that people are clicking into the store and finding the coffee, so it's easier to purchase right on that homepage. That's something that we're going to take care of on the first month. You can go to the next slide.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler. So building off of what Tyler presented with practical effects, these are the numbers that have already been provided to them. They're already working on our strategy for our initial launch and also an awareness campaign leading up to it the 2 weeks before. So I'm going to walk you guys through these numbers here. So this is on the left side, the production cost for one of our coffees. This would be Simone's coffee. So working our way down, we see the cost of the coffee roasted, the cost of the coffee that goes into the bag, the packaging. This is really a like a bank for all the costs. And then our calculator is going to be the center graphic there. So coffee, the labor to package it, the labor to take the packaged coffee and put it into the master box for shipping, and the cost of fully printed packaging. Fully printed packaging has proven to be a great differentiator that presents authority on the store shelf and in images on the website and advertising. So we've got our in bold in the center, we've got our finished product cost in Colombia, and then accounting for tariffs, export taxes, and then shipping to the U.S. distribution center. That brings us to the very bottom of the center graphic for the total cost per 12-ounce bag, shipped, tariffs, taxed, everything, all the way sitting in our warehouse in the U.S. So some startup costs for the entire thing to get the ball rolling. That's going to be the right graphic. So our initial inventory is going to be 2,000 12-ounce bags of coffee. That will be 500 of our non-traceable, typical, standard Colombian washed coffee, and then 500 of our washed coffee from a single estate from our very close friend and producer, Simone, as well as 1,000 bags from another close friend producer, Viviana, that will be split among two of her exotic co-fermentations. In these startup costs, we do need to reach the minimum order quantity for the printed bags. So that's going to be an additional cost, but that's also calculated into future production costs. So as Tyler was mentioning, the walk before you run strategy for e-commerce ad spend, we're going to start out with the first 3 months around $15,000 in total for all 3 months, beginning ad spend on month 2. And then the fourth, fifth, and sixth months with practical effects will be increasing their ad spend budget because by that time, enough split testing will take place. We'll find our most effective audiences, our most effective marketing campaigns, and we can really push those to their absolute optimal limit and really get to see the returns on ad spend. So we've also got a co-warehousing rental cost and a startup cost for fulfillment equipment. That's going to be boxes, shipping labels, marketing materials. With every order, we like to include a flyer that gives some more information, as well as some stickers and business cards. So that's our total startup cost for the roasted coffee as an e-commerce product.
All right, so here we have, again, our investment fund. Our offering is through a syndication investment structure. And like we've said before in the past, it's a 70% investor return to the investors, a 30% return to the general partners until we hit a hurdle of 12% average annual return. We've been very consistent about this, letting know that we don't plan on returning distributions for at least 18 to 24 months. And that's to let this business grow, to let it grow throughout those first 2 years and really get the momentum going. The minimum hold period is indefinite, right? As I've told everybody that we talk to, this is supposed to be a generational investment. You know, like I tell all my friends and family, I want my kids to, and my grandkids, I have a lot of kids, and my grandkids one day will hopefully play on this farm. And I expect all my investors to come down to Colombia and visit and drink some coffee with us, stay on the farm and enjoy it as well. The minimum investment is $50,000. Again, only open to accredited investors. If there's any questions from anyone about what determines an accredited investor, there's very stringent requirements on that. So it's pretty clear cut. But if you have any questions, please just reach out and let us know. We can help you walk through that. And Tucker, do you want to finish up?
So the target equity multiple is 2x at or before year 10. So just kind of walk us through the growth timeline a little deliberately here. Years 1 and 2, no distribution. We want to fully invest into our business plan and really focus on building out our distribution, sales, and ensuring that we get revolving revenue. Year 3 is a catch-up distribution, so we're going to meet a 36% cumulative return to hit those missed 2 years of 12% AAR, at which point it's that hits the 12% hurdle that will be in all the following years. Again, 3 scalable revenue engines, roast coffee distributions, the one that we're going to focus on initially with the Colombian Milling Fund, and then as those grow, eventually scale into green coffee and coffee container sales and distribution. We're vertically integrated, obviously, all the way to the farm, so it'll take some time to build those out, but we're pretty confident that we'll be able to do it by year 3 and meet all those return metrics from everything that we've gone over. And it's built for long-term cash flow, right? This is a cash flowing investment. Equity will grow, but what you get here is cash flow distributed to you on an annual basis. It's not the same thing as a real estate investment that grows in equity over time. The business's value through the shares will grow, but we're really focusing on cash flow here. Next slide. So the next steps to invest into this offering, register and commit to the portal. The portal was switched this morning to being able to accept investments. What that means is that the documents, the private placement memorandum, and the subscription agreements are available to be digitally signed. They need to be countersigned by a general partner. I myself have already signed them. So when you go in, you'll sign them. Mauricio will then countersign them. Those signed copies get sent back to you, at which point you will receive the funding instructions. I'm waiting for funding instruction notification from Wells Fargo. I anticipate that to be later this evening if you're on the East Coast. Our banker is a West Coast guy, so he still has about an hour to get this done today. If not, we'll roll to tomorrow, but he's got all the information that he needs to get the bank account funding information figured out. So that should be ready shortly. We need the funds to be sent via wire. So either from a brokerage account, self-directed IRA, 401k rolled into a self-directed IRA, or a TSP rolled into a self-directed IRA. If you have any specific questions about how to execute the wire, please reach out to either Mauricio or myself. I have a lot of experience helping people walk through the process. It sounds complicated. I promise it's not. It's pretty straightforward. Deadlines. So before June 30th, we would like the commitments to be made via the portal saying, hey, I'm committed to this investment at this amount. And then the wire transfer deadline is before July 31st of this year. Slide, please. I just kind of want to go over expectation management. So we're going to be really transparent about the sources and uses of funds, distributing our balance sheet and our general ledger and our P&L on a quarterly basis with our actual versus projected performance. We're going to give you guys a live look in our operations in Colombia. I'm sure you've noticed the amount of media, videos, and photos that we've generated up to this point. That's only going to increase with time. And then in-person tours for all of our investors. So for every $1,000 spent, that's one night comped in Colombia. So that's everything scheduled, your bed for you to stay at. And then the only thing that you're responsible for at that point is the transportation to Colombia. Everything else will get taken care of by our team, coffee, food, everything. And then dedicated 24-hour access, phone, text, or email to me and Mauricio if you have any questions about your distributions, when you're going to get your K1 so you can file your taxes, which keep in mind the K1s will be available from this year. So those years that you aren't getting distributions, you will still get K1s from us. And that should wrap up all the expectations and everything else.
Yep.
Mauricio, if you
So
want to
I want to go ahead and go back to the roasted coffee pro forma and just throw a question we've been asked before and just put on this recording here in case it comes up as well as, how do we make, as we're starting off here month 1 through month 6, we have a pretty good plan here on kicking this off with some real gasoline to this fire. But how can we further, JT, reduce the costs or make more profit in our roasted coffee offerings? Like as we go along and start executing on this plan, what are some of the levers that you have to pull on in order for us to be more profitable on roasted coffee?
Absolutely. So largely referring back to the walk before you run plan with practical effects, the faster we can get a feedback cycle going from our marketing campaigns, the faster we can find the winners and optimize the winning campaigns, the most efficient, most profitable campaigns with the highest return on ad spend. So the way to open that up is really through opening the gates to more ad spend in the beginning for faster testing, faster feedback, and having the future ad spend ready to go as soon as we find the absolute winning campaigns, and really just speed up the entire wheel.
Now, Eric, how about you're in Colombia and you're sourcing this coffee, and you and Diane are producing and processing this coffee. With our other parts of our business plan, how else, especially on the sourcing coffee, can you help make that number in green lower?
So with this raise, we'll be able to purchase in more efficient volume. So a lot of the times that we've had sourcing struggles is just finding the correct volume, the most efficient volumes for transport, and the most efficient volumes for purchase. So a lot of these more specialty micro lots, the more exotic of our varietals of coffee, these farmers can only produce so much per year. And finding that sweet spot where we can buy the majority of their cosecha or mitaca, which are the 2 harvests per year of coffee in Colombia, it really allows us to negotiate a price that is very economical for us and very fair for them.
Awesome. I think another big thing too is we have the plans to do the wet mill construction and installation at the farm that we end up settling in. And when you make a huge part of the process of transforming coffee from cherry into parchment and from parchment into green coffee, which is what we buy, we transform it at our mill. We are showing here in the summer green. We're really going to be able to further reduce those costs, especially in the specialty coffee that we'll produce within our own wet mill. So the things that you may have already drunk from Botero coffee already, our carbonic maceration or some of our honey processes, we will be bringing those processes in-house and making them, some of them, in-house. And since we'll be able to control that cost there within our own wet mill, we should be able to get a much more reduced sourcing cost when we transform it ourselves. And I think finally, the other thing I want to point out is how else can we be more profitable in roasted coffee is on the distribution side. I think it's a really interesting play, being able to have other people sell our coffee for us and sell more product, again, generate more volume buys like Eric was explaining before, really, really works in our favor with the Botero brand in front of it or not. Ultimately, as long as we're moving volume and moving product through our mill, buying a lot of coffee in Colombia from producers, it gets us more credibility. It gets us at more larger negotiating tables in Colombia, which goes a long way for future buys.
And building on that, the distribution conversations that we've had this week alone include a distributor in Colombia who's going to be going to major city coffee shops, cafes, and grocery stores. We've got one in the Chicago area with the Midwest territory, and he's already been taking our product to some grocery stores that focus on sourcing, quality sourcing, and traceability. There's in specific one local chain with 9 locations in the Chicago area that's a direct competitor to Sprouts. We know they love our coffee and they're looking forward to seeing what actual volume prices would look like. And then we also had one this morning for a distributor working out of the Southeast Asia area, which is interesting because they produce very much specialty coffee, but exclusively Robusto, whereas Colombia exclusively produces Arabica. So we can bring a product to the market that is very clearly differentiated, something that is not yet easy to find over there, but there's already a hungry market for specialty coffee in the Southeast Asia region.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to our special guest, Tyler from Practical Effects. And on our next webinar, we'll be definitely sharing some more information further about our business plan. Thanks for everybody for joining. And if you have any questions, again, reach out. Have a good night.